Staff Sergeant Olivia Martinez rubbed her tired eyes as she drove down the empty highway. The clock on her dashboard read 11:43 p.m. After a 12-hour shift at the military hospital, all she wanted was to get home, take a hot shower, and fall into bed. 3 tours in combat zones and now working at Fort Benning's Medical Center had taught her to appreciate the simple comforts of home. The road stretched empty before her, trees creating dark shapes against the night sky. Her small Toyota hummed steadily as the headlights cut through the darkness. The radio played softly, some late-night talk show discussing baseball stats. Olivia wasn't really listening. Her mind was on the young private who'd come in with a training injury today. He would recover, but his disappointment at potentially missing deployment with his unit had been evident. The first unusual thing she noticed was how the radio suddenly filled with static. Olivia frowned and reached to change the station, but every channel buzzed with the same interference. Next, the dashboard lights flickered. "Great," she muttered. "Just what I need tonight. Car trouble." Then she saw it. At first she thought it was a plane. A strange light moving across the sky above the tree line. But it moved in a way no aircraft should, zigzagging impossibly fast, then stopping completely. Olivia slowed her car, curiosity momentarily overcoming her exhaustion. The light grew larger, brighter. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't anything she recognized. Her car shuddered, the engine sputtering before going completely silent. The vehicle rolled to a stop in the middle of the empty road. Even the emergency lights wouldn't turn on when she tried them. What the hell? She grabbed her phone from the cup holder. No signal, not even emergency services. The light above was now directly overhead, so bright it flooded her car with an unnatural blue-white glow. Olivia had been in enough dangerous situations to know when to be afraid. This qualified. Her heartbeat quickened as she tried the door handle, but it wouldn't budge. A humming sound filled the air, growing louder until she could feel it vibrating in her chest. The light intensified, and Olivia threw up an arm to shield her eyes. Her skin tingled, then burned as if electricity were passing through her. Her last conscious thought was to wonder if anyone would find her car in the morning. Olivia woke with a start, her head pounding. She wasn't in her car anymore. The surface beneath her was hard and smooth like metal but slightly warm to the touch. She lay still, keeping her eyes closed, using her other senses first, a habit formed in combat zones. The air smelled sterile, almost like a hospital, but with an underlying scent she couldn't identify. Something hummed in the background, a steady vibration that reminded her of standing near large machinery. She opened her eyes slowly. The ceiling above her was metallic, with strange patterns that seemed to shift slightly when she focused on them. Carefully, Olivia sat up. She was in a small chamber, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet. The walls were the same shifting metal as the ceiling. There was nothing else in the room. No furniture, no visible door, nothing. She still wore her army fatigues and boots. Her watch had stopped at 11:47 p.m. Her medical training kicked in as she checked herself for injuries. No pain besides the headache. No visible wounds. Pulse elevated but steady. Breathing normal. A seam appeared in one wall, widening into an opening. Beyond it, Olivia could see a corridor made of the same material as her cell. She approached cautiously, half expecting to be stopped by some invisible barrier, but there was nothing. She peered into the hallway, which curved gently in both directions. Small lights pulsed along the floor. "Hello?" she called out. Her voice sounded flat in the strange space. No answer came, but she heard something from the left. A human voice. Carefully, Olivia stepped into the corridor and moved toward the sound. The floor felt slightly springy beneath her boots. The corridor opened into a larger space with several small chambers like hers visible through transparent walls that hadn't been visible from inside. In each chamber was a person, a man in business, a tire sitting with his head in his hands, an elderly woman standing at the transparent wall, a teenage boy pacing back and forth. "Hey," Olivia called to them. The elderly woman looked up, her eyes widening. "You're out. How did you get out?" the woman asked, her voice muffled but audible through the transparent barrier. "My wall just opened," Olivia replied, moving toward the woman's cell. She placed her hand on the transparent surface. It felt like glass but warmer. "What is this place?" "Who's keeping us here?" Olivia asked. Before the woman could answer, a different sound caught Olivia's attention. A soft whirring, growing louder. She turned. They were tall, at least 7 feet, with slender bodies covered in what looked like a form-fitting suit of silvery material. Their skin was a pale blue-gray, and their heads were larger than human proportions would allow, with large almond-shaped eyes that were completely black. No visible nose, just small slits, and a tiny mouth that didn't move when sounds emerged from a device at their throat. "The specimen should not be free from containment," said the first one, its voice oddly musical through the translation device. 2 more of the beings appeared behind the first. They carried no visible weapons, but their presence was intimidating nonetheless. "Who are you? Why have you taken us?" Olivia's voice was steady, her military training helping her maintain composure despite her racing heart. "It communicates directly. Unusual behavior pattern," said the second being to the first, ignoring her questions. "I'm Staff Sergeant Olivia Martinez, United States Army. You've abducted American citizens against their will. That's a hostile action," she said firmly. The beings tilted their heads in identical movements, like birds observing something curious. "The specimens will be processed according to standard protocols," said the first being. "Return to your containment unit." "We're not specimens," Olivia replied. "We're human beings, and you have no right to hold us here." A sound from one of the other cells caught her attention. The man in business attire had collapsed to the floor. "He needs help," Olivia shouted, immediately moving toward his cell. "Let me in there." The aliens conferred with each other in sounds Olivia couldn't begin to comprehend. To her surprise, the transparent wall of the man's cell slid open. Without hesitation, she rushed inside and knelt beside him. His pulse was rapid but present, his breathing shallow. Classic signs of shock. Olivia quickly loosened his tie and belt, elevated his feet using his rolled-up suit jacket, and placed him in the recovery position. "I need medical supplies," she said to the watching aliens. "Water, blankets, something to monitor his vitals." The aliens watched silently, making no move to help. "He's in shock," Olivia explained, her medical training taking over. "His body is responding to extreme stress. Without treatment, his condition could worsen." After what seemed like forever, one of the aliens departed and returned with something resembling a small metallic disc. It handed the object to Olivia cautiously. She studied it briefly before figuring out how to activate it. The disc projected holographic symbols she couldn't read, but she recognized patterns similar to human vital signs. She placed it near the man's chest, and it began displaying more detailed information. "Interesting," said one of the aliens. "The specimen attempts to repair damaged specimen using unfamiliar technology." "We're not specimens," Olivia repeated firmly, continuing to monitor the man. "We're people, and I'm a combat medic. Helping others is what I do." The aliens' reaction wasn't obvious on their expressionless faces, but they seemed to be studying her with increased intensity. "The Veclari have not encountered this behavior in collected species before," said one finally. "The Veclari? Is that what you call yourselves?" Olivia asked, maintaining pressure on the man's wrist as she checked his improving pulse. "You will return to containment now. The damaged specimen will be examined." "His name is probably on his ID," Olivia said, reaching for the man's pocket. She found his wallet and checked. "His name is Paul Winters. He's not a specimen. He's a person named Paul Winters." For the first time, the aliens seemed genuinely confused. They conferred again in their strange language. "The collection process will continue," one finally said. "Return to your containment unit, human Olivia Martinez." As 2 of the Veclari approached to escort her back to her cell, Olivia realized she was in a situation no amount of military training had prepared her for. But as she looked back at Paul, whose breathing had steadied, she also realized something else. These aliens, these Veclari, had just learned that humans help each other, and somehow she sensed that this simple fact had surprised them more than they could express. 3 days passed, at least according to Olivia's count of sleep cycles. She remained in her cell, occasionally seeing the Veclari pass by. They brought food, bland, gelatinous cubes that tasted like unseasoned oatmeal, but seemed to provide adequate nutrition. Olivia had tried talking to them whenever possible, learning that the ship, as she now understood they were on, carried various specimens from different planets. The Veclari seemed confused by her questions, as if the idea of explaining themselves to a captive was foreign. On what she counted as the 4th day, Olivia noticed a change. The Veclari moving past her cell were walking faster than usual. Some type of alarm sounded intermittently, a low, pulsing tone that seemed to indicate trouble. When her cell wall finally opened, 2 Veclari stood waiting. "Human Olivia Martinez will come," one said through its translation device. "Where are we going?" she asked as she stepped into the corridor. Medical knowledge demonstrated with the damaged specimen was observed. Assistance is required. This was new. Olivia followed them through corridors she hadn't seen before. They passed several Veclari who appeared to be in distress. Their breathing seemed labored and their normally fluid movements were jerky. They arrived at a large chamber filled with various beings. Some were Veclari, but others were completely alien to Olivia. Creatures with multiple limbs, beings that seemed more plant than animal, and others that defied easy description. Many were clearly ill, making sounds that, despite their strangeness, Olivia recognized as expressions of pain. A Veclari approached them, its silver suit accented with blue markings that the others lacked. "This is the medical specimen?" it asked, its translated voice conveying urgency. "I'm a combat medic," Olivia corrected. "What's happening here?" The blue-marked Veclari, who introduced itself as Zarketh, explained through its translator. "A respiratory illness spreads among collected specimens and crew. It progresses rapidly. Our treatments are ineffective." Olivia looked around the room again, her medical training kicking in. "How many affected? When did symptoms start? Which species seem most vulnerable?" Zarketh seemed surprised by her questions, but answered. The illness had begun 2 cycles ago among a group of newly collected specimens and had spread quickly to other species, including several Veclari crew members. Symptoms included difficulty breathing, fever, or its equivalent in different physiologies, and in severe cases a blue-black secretion from breathing organs. "Have any humans shown symptoms?" Olivia asked. "Humans appear immune," Zarketh replied. That was interesting. Olivia had been exposed but remained healthy. "I need to examine patients to understand what we're dealing with. I'll need information about each species' normal physiology." Zarketh hesitated. "Our data on specimens is classified. Then your specimens will continue to die," Olivia said bluntly. "I can't treat what I don't understand." While they debated, a commotion erupted across the room. A Veclari had collapsed, its breathing extremely labored. Without waiting for permission, Olivia rushed over. The alien's chest barely moved and a blue-black fluid leaked from its breathing slits. "I need to establish an airway," she said, looking up at Zarketh, who had followed her. "Do you have medical tools?" Reluctantly, Zarketh produced something, resembling a small metal case. Inside were instruments Olivia didn't recognize, but she could guess their functions based on their shapes. "Show me which one can safely create an airway passage," she demanded. Zarketh pointed to a slim, pen-like device. "This creates temporary passages, but—" Olivia grabbed it. "How does it work?" After a quick explanation, she positioned the device near what she hoped was the right spot on the Veclari's neck, based on where she'd seen the breathing slits. With a combat medic's steadiness, she activated the tool. A small opening appeared in the alien's neck, bypassing the blocked main airway. The Veclari's chest began to rise and fall more normally. The blue-black fluid drained from the opening rather than pooling in the breathing passages. "It needs to be suctioned regularly," Olivia explained, demonstrating with another tool from the kit. "And we need to separate the sick from the healthy to prevent further spread." For the next several hours, Olivia worked alongside Zarketh, treating the most severe cases. She quickly identified patterns in how the disease progressed in different species and developed a system for triage. "We need isolation areas," she told Zarketh. "Separate by species and severity. The air filtration needs to be improved too." "This ship was not designed for medical quarantine," Zarketh replied. "Then we improvise," Olivia said. "That's what battlefield medicine is all about." Using her experience from field hospitals and resource-limited combat zones, Olivia helped create makeshift isolation units using available materials. She showed the Veclari how to set up simple sanitization protocols between treating different patients. "Your methods are unusual," Zarketh commented, watching Olivia adapt a food storage container into a sterilization unit. "On the battlefield, you use what you have," she replied. "Proper tools are great, but ingenuity saves lives when resources are limited." As another day passed, the situation began to improve. Fewer new cases appeared, and several patients showed signs of recovery. Olivia had barely slept, moving from patient to patient, demonstrating techniques to the Veclari who assisted her. During a brief rest, Zarketh approached her with a container of water. "Your assistance was not anticipated," the alien said. Olivia took a long drink before responding. "Did you think humans would just sit by while others suffer? Previous data suggested your species prioritizes self-preservation above all." Olivia laughed tiredly. "Your data needs updating. Humans can be selfish, sure, but we're also capable of extreme compassion and self-sacrifice. This quality was not detected in our preliminary studies of Earth." "Maybe you were looking at the wrong things," Olivia suggested. "Our strength isn't just in our technology or our physical capabilities. It's in how we come together during a crisis, how we adapt and overcome." Their conversation was interrupted when another Veclari entered the medical bay. This one wore silver with red markings and carried itself with obvious authority. "I am Drenval, commander of this vessel," it said. "You are the human medical practitioner?" Olivia stood, extending her hand automatically, before remembering the gesture would likely be meaningless. "Staff Sergeant Olivia Martinez, combat medic, United States Army." Drenval didn't take her hand but inclined its head slightly. "Zarketh reports your methods have been effective. The outbreak appears contained." "We've made progress," Olivia acknowledged. "But there's still work to do. I've been showing your medical staff how to." "You have been sharing human medical knowledge?" Drenval interrupted, its tone unreadable through the translator. "Yes," Olivia said firmly. "That's how we solve problems, by working together and sharing information." Drenval and Zarketh exchanged looks that Olivia couldn't interpret. "This requires further discussion," Drenval finally said. "The sharing of knowledge between species is strictly regulated by coalition protocols." "With respect, Commander," Olivia replied, fatigue making her blunt. "Your crew was dying. Protocols don't matter much when lives are at stake." Instead of the anger she expected, Drenval seemed interested in her response. "You will continue assisting Zarketh for now. We will discuss your status when the medical emergency is fully resolved." As Drenval left, Olivia turned to Zarketh. "What did he mean by my status?" "Your demonstrated abilities contradict our classification of humans," Zarketh explained. "This creates complications." "Complications how?" "The Galaxy Coalition assigns status to species based on technological development and cognitive capabilities. Earth was classified as a pre-contact developmental planet, suitable only for specimen collection and study." Olivia felt anger rising but kept her voice steady. "And now?" "Now," Zarketh said, looking around at the recovering patients. "That classification may require reassessment." A week after the outbreak began, the crisis was largely contained. Most patients were recovering and no new cases had appeared in the last 2 days. Olivia had been given limited freedom to move around certain areas of the ship, always with a Veclari escort. Today, she walked alongside Zarketh through a section of the ship she hadn't seen before. Wide windows revealed the blackness of space outside, dotted with stars. Olivia paused to look, still not quite believing her situation. "That's really space out there," she said quietly. "I'm actually on an alien spaceship." "Your reaction suggests this experience is significant for humans," Zarketh observed. Olivia smiled. "Humans have dreamed about meeting aliens and traveling in space for centuries. We've only reached our own moon and sent unmanned craft to nearby planets. Yet your medical knowledge exceeds our predictions for your development stage," Zarketh said. "This contradiction interests me." They continued walking, passing other Veclari who now acknowledged Olivia with slight nods rather than ignoring her as they had before. "Technology isn't everything," Olivia explained. "Humans have learned to adapt with what we have. In combat zones, we often lack ideal tools but still save lives using basic principles and whatever materials are available." The medical bay looked different now. The makeshift isolation areas Olivia had created remained, but they were mostly empty. Only a few patients still required monitoring. "I want to check on the other humans," Olivia said. She had been asking about them regularly but had not been allowed to see them. Zarketh hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. "I will arrange this. Commander Drenval has authorized expanded access for you, given your assistance." An hour later, Olivia was escorted to the section where the other humans were held. Their cells now had basic furniture, beds, chairs, small tables. The transparent walls remained, but the humans could see and talk to each other. When Olivia appeared, they rushed to the barriers, faces filled with hope and questions. There were 8 of them in total. Paul Winters, who had recovered from his shock, an elderly couple named Betty and Frank Lewis, a college student named Lisa Diaz, a truck driver named Sam Baker, and a family of 3, John and Kate Miller with their teenage son Kevin. "Are you okay? What's happening? Are they going to let us go?" The questions came all at once. Olivia raised her hands. "Everyone's safe. I've been working with their medical officer. We've made progress." She explained the situation as simply as she could, seeing their expressions shift from fear to cautious hope. "So they're not going to experiment on us?" asked Kevin, the teenager. "No," Olivia assured him. "They're researchers, not torturers. But they've been studying species without really understanding them." "Can you get us out of here?" John asked. "I'm working on it," Olivia said. "They're starting to see humans differently. Just hang in there a little longer." After speaking with each person, Olivia was escorted to meet with Commander Drenval. The commander's quarters were spacious, with strange objects that might have been art or technology or both. "Human Martinez," Drenval greeted her. "Zarketh speaks highly of your adaptive capabilities." "Thank you," Olivia said. "I'd like to discuss the status of the other humans." Drenval gestured to what appeared to be a seating area. The seats adjusted automatically to accommodate human physiology as Olivia sat down. "Your assistance during our medical emergency has created an unusual situation," Drenval said. "Coalition protocols are clear about non-interference with developing species, yet we have already crossed that boundary." "You crossed that boundary when you took us from our planet," Olivia pointed out. "Specimen collection is permitted for scientific study," Drenval replied. "Direct knowledge exchange is not." "But it happened anyway," Olivia said. "And now you know we're more than just specimens." Drenval made a gesture Olivia had learned meant agreement. "Indeed. Your species shows unexpected capabilities. Your medical techniques saved lives using principles our advanced technology overlooked." Olivia leaned forward. "Then you understand why we should be returned home." "This creates difficulties," Drenval said. "Return of specimens with knowledge of advanced species violates coalition laws. Yet retention of sentience with demonstrated intelligence above classification parameters is equally problematic." "Let me help you understand something about humans," Olivia said. "We won't just sit quietly in cells forever. We adapt, we plan, we work together. Keeping us against our will only creates more problems for you." Before Drenval could respond, a Veclari officer entered urgently. "Commander, an unregistered ship has appeared on our sensors. It does not respond to identification requests." Drenval stood immediately. "Maintain observation. Raise defensive. Shields." After the officer left, Drenval turned to Olivia. We must continue this discussion later. You will return to the medical bay with Zarketh. On the way back, Olivia noticed increased activity throughout the ship. Veklari moved with purpose, and several new displays had appeared on walls showing what looked like ship schematics. What's happening? She asked Zarketh. A potential threat, Zarketh replied. Unidentified vessels sometimes indicate Kurjan, raiders. Raiders? Like pirates? The Kurjan capture ships and enslave crews, Zarketh explained. They operate outside coalition laws. Back in the medical bay, Olivia helped finalize treatment plans for the remaining patients. Throughout the day, she sensed growing tension among the Veklari. More displays activated, showing what she now recognized as defensive positions around the ship. That evening, Commander Drenval visited the medical bay with several senior officers. They spoke with Zarketh in their native language, the discussion seemingly intense. When they finished, Zarketh approached Olivia. The commander wishes to know if human medical training includes treatment of trauma injuries. Yes, Olivia replied without hesitation. Combat medics specialize in traumatic injuries, wounds, burns, fractures, blood loss. Why? Zarketh looked to Drenval, who gave permission to continue. The Kurjan ship approaches. Their usual tactic is to disable key systems, board and capture the crew. If they succeed, all aboard become slaves. And your defenses? Olivia asked. Our ship is primarily research-focused, Drenval interjected. We have standard defenses but limited combat capabilities. The Kurjan specifically target vessels like ours. Olivia processed this information quickly. So you're preparing for them to board the ship? It is a significant possibility, Drenval admitted. Your trauma medical skills may become necessary. Olivia thought about the other humans, vulnerable, in their cells. She thought about what capture by these Kurjan would mean. If they board, you'll need more than medical help, she said firmly. I've had combat training, not just medical. Let me help prepare defenses. Drenval and the officers looked at each other, clearly surprised by her offer. Why would you assist us? One officer asked. We captured your kind. Because right now we're all facing the same threat, Olivia said simply. And humans know a lot about defending against attackers, especially when outmatched technologically. After a brief discussion in their language, Drenval turned to Olivia. We will consider your offer. In the meantime, prepare the medical bay for potential casualties. As they left, Zarketh remained behind. The commander is concerned about trusting a specimen with security matters. I'm not just a specimen, Olivia replied, already organizing. Supplies. I'm a soldier who served in 3 combat zones, and right now, I might be your best chance at handling these raiders. Zarketh studied her for a moment. I believe you are correct, Human Martinez, and I will tell the commander so. Olivia stood beside Commander Drenval on the ship's control deck, watching the main display. The Kurjan vessel had stopped maintaining its distance and was now moving directly toward them. It was larger than the Veklari research ship, with a design that reminded Olivia of a predatory fish, sleek, dark, and threatening. They've ignored all communication attempts, a Veklari officer reported. Weapon systems have locked onto our engines and life support sections. Drenval had finally accepted Olivia's offer of help after Zarketh's strong recommendation. Now she studied the ship layout displayed on a secondary screen. Your security teams are positioned at the main entry points, she observed, but that leaves these maintenance tunnels unguarded. She pointed to narrow passages on the schematic. Those access tubes are too small for effective defense, a security officer argued, which makes them perfect for surprise flanking maneuvers, Olivia countered. In combat, we use every advantage, especially when outnumbered. Before they could discuss further, the ship rocked violently. Alarms blared as lights flickered. Direct hit to the main propulsion system, an officer called out. Engine power at 30%, shield generators damaged. Another blast hit stronger than the first. Olivia grabbed a console to stay upright. The lights failed completely before emergency systems activated, bathing everything in a dim red glow. Life support damaged, another voice reported. Medical. Systems offline. Drenval turned to Olivia. Your assessment? They're disabling rather than destroying, she said. They want the ship intact. They'll board soon. We need to prepare for close quarters combat. Our security forces are not trained for such conflict, Drenval admitted. The Veclari are researchers, not warriors. Then we adapt, Olivia said firmly. I need to see the other humans now. Some have skills we can use. 20 minutes later, Olivia had gathered the humans in the medical bay, which was now operating on emergency power. She quickly explained the situation. We're under attack by space pirates called the Kurjan, she told them. If they take the ship, we all become slaves. The Veclari aren't fighters, so we need to help. Help the aliens who kidnapped us? John Miller asked incredulously. Yes, Olivia said bluntly, because right now, their best chance is our best chance. Sam Baker, the truck driver, stepped forward. I'm ex-military, Army infantry for 6 years. Perfect, Olivia said with relief. Anyone else have relevant skills? Paul Winters raised his hand. I work in building security. I know. Surveillance systems. I was a volunteer firefighter, added Frank Lewis, the elderly man. I know emergency protocols and first aid. Good. Lisa, can you help Zarketh organize medical supplies? Betty, Kevin, and Kate, I need you to prepare this area as a fallback position. John, help them secure doors and entrances. The humans nodded, their fear giving way to purpose. Olivia turned to Zarketh, who had watched the exchange with apparent fascination. We need improvised weapons, she said. Tools, maintenance equipment, anything that could be used defensively. Another violent impact shook the ship. The comm system crackled as Drenval's voice came through. Multiple boarding craft detected. Security barriers failing in sections 7 and 12. That's close to here, Zarketh said with concern. Olivia made quick decisions. Sam, Paul, come with me. We'll organize a defense near section 7. Zarketh, show the security team those maintenance tunnels I mentioned. We can use them to outflank the boarders. As they moved through the corridors, they collected tools and equipment that could serve as weapons. Veclari crew members looked terrified, unused to combat situations. Form teams of 3. Olivia instructed the Veclari security officers, 1 to watch forward, 1 for the rear, 1 to communicate, never separate. The first sounds of intrusion came minutes later, metal shrieking as something forced its way through the outer hull. Olivia positioned her makeshift defenders at strategic points, using her battlefield experience to create defensive choke points. Remember, she told them, we're protecting the medical bay and the ship's core systems. Fall back if needed, but in controlled steps. The Kurjan burst through a sealed doorway at the end of the corridor. They were nothing like the Veclari, heavily muscled with gray-green skin covered in what looked like natural armor plates. They carried advanced weapons and moved with practiced coordination that Olivia recognized immediately as military training. They're organized, she whispered to Sam. Not just raiders, they're soldiers. The lead Kurjan barked orders in a harsh language. Boarding parties split off down different corridors, following what appeared to be a predetermined plan. They know the ship layout, Paul observed. This isn't random. Targeted attack, Olivia agreed. Let them pass this group, then we'll use the maintenance tunnels to circle behind. They waited as a Kurjan squad moved past their hidden position, then slipped into a narrow access tunnel. The passage was tight, barely wide enough for humans and clearly uncomfortable for the Veclari who followed them. This connects to Section 9, Zarketh whispered, behind where the Kurjan entered. They emerged into a corridor now empty. A Veclari crew. Distant sounds of struggle echoed through the ship. Central systems next, Olivia said, checking a ship display. They'll want to control life support and communications. They moved quickly but cautiously through the ship. Twice they encountered small groups of Kurjan and used their knowledge of the ship's layout to avoid direct confrontation. We can't. Just keep hiding, Sam said after they dodged another patrol. We need to actively defend. Agreed, Olivia replied, but smart defense, not suicide charges. Paul, can you access the ship's internal sensors from here? Paul worked with Zarketh at a wall console. Got it, he said after a moment. I can see their positions throughout the ship. Perfect. Olivia studied the display. They've taken the main control deck but haven't secured the auxiliary systems yet. There's a group heading toward the medical bay. She made a quick plan, dispatching Sam with a team of Vekalari to protect the medical bay using an alternate route. She and Paul would lead another group to secure the auxiliary control room. As they moved through the ship, Olivia noticed the Vekalari following her instructions without question now. The same aliens who had seen humans as mere specimens days earlier now looked to her for leadership. They reached the auxiliary control room just ahead of a Kurjan squad. Olivia positioned defenders at key points, using the room's layout to their advantage. Remember, she told them, we only need to hold them off long enough for Sam's team to secure the medical bay and the civilians. When the Kurjan attacked, they came with overwhelming force. Advanced weapons fire scorched the walls around them. 2 Vekalari fell immediately. Olivia ducked behind a console, pulling Paul down beside her as energy blasts passed overhead. She noticed something about the Kurjan attack pattern. They were careful not to damage certain systems. They want the ship operational, she realized. That's why they're not just blasting everything. How does that help us? Paul asked, flinching as another blast hit nearby. It means we can use the ship itself against them, Olivia said, a plan forming. She turned to Zarketh. Can you overload the environmental systems in this section? Not enough to cause permanent damage, but enough to fill the area with steam or gas? Zarketh worked quickly at a control panel. Initiating emergency purge cycle now. Warning lights flashed as vents in the ceiling began releasing thick, white vapor. The Kurjan faltered, clearly surprised by the defensive tactic. Fall back to position 2, Olivia ordered, leading her team through a side exit she had identified earlier. As they regrouped in a connecting corridor, Olivia's comm device activated with Sam's voice. Medical base secure. We've got company coming. In from Section 5, though. Hold position, Olivia replied. We're going to try to cut them off from behind. She looked at the determined faces around her, humans and Vekalari working together against a common threat. Despite everything, she felt a surge of pride. Next phase, she told them. We take back this ship one section at a time. The battle for the Vekalari ship lasted 14 hours. Section by section, corridor by corridor, Olivia led the combined human Vekalari defense force against the Kurjan borders. They used every advantage: knowledge of the ship's layout, control of environmental systems, and improvised tactics that the militaristic Kurjan didn't expect. In the end, it was Sam's idea to use the ship's specimen containment fields that turned the tide. By reconfiguring the energy barriers designed to hold captives, they created traps that immobilized entire Kurjan squads in key locations. Olivia stood in the recaptured control deck beside Commander Drenval, exhausted but alert. The remaining Kurjan had retreated to their boarding vessels after their commander was captured. Their ship is withdrawing, a Vekalari officer reported, relief evident even through the translator. Maintain defensive positions, Olivia instructed. They might be regrouping for another attack. The Kurjan rarely attempt a second assault after losing their command structure, Drenval said. Their hierarchy breaks down. Zarketh entered, looking as tired as a Vekalari could look. Medical bay reports all wounded are stabilized. 12 crew members lost, 28 injured, 4 Kurjan captured alive. And the humans? Olivia asked immediately. All safe, Zarketh assured her. Frank Lewis sustained minor injuries while helping evacuate crew members from a damaged section. Olivia nodded, relief washing over her. The ship's engines hummed back to life as repair teams restored critical systems. Primary propulsion restored to 60% capacity, an officer announced. Communication systems online. Drenval turned to Olivia. Your tactics were unexpected. The Kurjan were clearly unprepared for such resistance on a research vessel. Humans are good at improvising, Olivia said simply. We use what we have and adapt to circumstances. A trait our species has clearly underestimated, Drenval acknowledged. The defensive coordinator position on a Vekalari vessel is considered highly prestigious. You have performed this role with remarkable skill for someone of a supposedly pre-contact species. The next day, after much-needed rest, Olivia was summoned to a formal gathering in the ship's largest chamber. All surviving Veclari crew members were present, along with the other humans. Commander Drenval stood on a raised platform at the center. "This gathering is unprecedented," Drenval began, addressing everyone present. "The Coalition protocols do not include procedures for what we have experienced." The commander gestured to Olivia and the other humans to approach the platform. These beings, classified as specimens from a pre-contact developmental world, have demonstrated capabilities that contradict this classification. They have shared knowledge, shown adaptability, and fought to protect this vessel and crew despite their initial status as captives. Murmurs spread through the assembled Veclari. Olivia glanced at her fellow humans, who looked a mixture of proud and uncertain. "The human Olivia Martinez," Drenval continued, "displayed tactical thinking that rivals our most experienced security coordinators. The human Sam Baker organized defensive teams with remarkable efficiency. Paul Winters utilized our systems with minimal instruction. Frank Lewis risked injury to save Veclari crew members." Drenval paused, seeming to consider their next words carefully. "I have made a decision that will be documented and transmitted to Coalition authorities. This ship will return to Earth orbit." The humans exchanged shocked glances. Olivia stepped forward. "You're taking us home?" "Not merely returning specimens," Drenval clarified. "I am initiating formal first contact proceedings with your planet." A wave of reactions swept through the room. Surprise from the humans, shock and some concern from the Veclari. "First contact?" Olivia repeated. "But you said Earth was classified as pre-contact." "Classifications can be challenged when evidence warrants," Drenval replied. "Your species has demonstrated qualities the Coalition values: adaptability, cooperation, sacrifice for others, and innovative thinking. These traits complement the technological focus of many Coalition species." Zarketh joined them on the platform. "The medical knowledge exchange alone justifies reassessment. Human battlefield medicine contains approaches our advanced systems overlooked." "What does first contact mean exactly?" Sam asked. "Official recognition of Earth as a potential Coalition associate," Drenval explained. "Exchange of knowledge, cultural understanding, and eventually, if your leaders agree, limited technology sharing. There will be consequences from Coalition authorities," Zarketh added. "Such decisions typically require lengthy approval processes." "I will accept those consequences," Drenval said firmly. "What we have learned cannot be ignored or suppressed." 3 weeks later, the Veclari ship entered Earth orbit. During the journey, Olivia and the other humans had worked with the crew to prepare for contact. They helped the Veclari understand human governments, social structures, and potential reactions to alien visitors. In return, the Veclari shared information about the Coalition, 37 species across hundreds of worlds, united by shared knowledge and resources. Earth would be the least technologically advanced member if accepted, but the Veclari now believed humans had other valuable contributions to offer. On their final day aboard, Olivia stood with Zarketh and Drenval in the observation room looking down at Earth. "It's beautiful," Zarketh commented. "Even our most advanced worlds lack such natural diversity." "Will your Coalition really accept us?" Olivia asked. "We're centuries behind your technology." "Technology alone does not determine a species' value," Drenval replied. "The Coalition has many technologically advanced members, but few with your species' particular strengths. And if they reject the idea?" "They will not," Drenval said with unexpected certainty. "Because I have already transmitted our complete records of the Kurjan incident to Coalition headquarters. Your actions speak more convincingly than any formal argument I could make." A communication officer entered the room. "Commander, Earth governments have responded to our transmission. They are cautious but willing to establish dialogue. They request the humans be returned immediately as a show of good faith." Drenval turned to Olivia. "You will return home today. Coalition representatives will arrive within one of your months to begin formal discussions." "What about you?" Olivia asked. I must report to Coalition authorities and defend my decision to initiate. Contact ahead of schedule, Drenval replied. Zarketh will remain in orbit as interim liaison. Will there be serious consequences for you? Perhaps, Drenval acknowledged. But I believe the eventual benefits of human inclusion in the Coalition will vindicate my choice. Later, as Olivia prepared to board the shuttle to Earth, Zarketh approached her one last time. The Council has requested you serve as a human representative during initial negotiations, the alien said. Your understanding of both human and Vekalari perspectives would be valuable. Olivia smiled. From captive specimen to diplomatic representative. That's quite a promotion. It is the logical choice, Zarketh replied, then added, and I believe the right one. As the shuttle departed the Vekalari ship, Olivia watched through the viewport as Earth grew larger. She thought about how a routine drive home from the hospital had changed not just her life but potentially the future of humanity. The Vekalari had kidnapped a human, thinking they were collecting just another specimen. Instead, they'd taken a battlefield medic whose training, adaptability, and courage had opened the door to the stars. Olivia smiled as the blue of Earth's atmosphere enveloped the shuttle. She was going home, but she knew this was just the beginning.